Hello, Jim here for another edition of Without the Numbers, the show where we explain a facet of the Star Citizen universe using lore, flavor text, and the words of the developers themselves. Because numbers are slippery, faithless, and always subject to change. I'm not saying numbers are bad necessarily. I'm sure some of them are perfectly nice. I don't have anything against numbers per se. They just maybe you'd rather your daughter didn't date one? I'm not explaining myself well. Let me start over. Forget I said anything. The Anvil Hurricane is a small platform for big guns. It's fairly fast, not terribly maneuverable, and it has a glass jaw, but it kicks like a mule on PCP, so that sort of balances things out. The Hurricane is an old ship, designed and produced hundreds of years ago in response to the Phalanx point defense shielding on the Tavarn Prowler. The UEE Navy needed a ship that could get into position quickly and deal a lot of damage before the Phalanx shield could once again be brought to bear. Fortunately, the war ended before the Hurricane saw much action. Hundreds of years later, the UEE faced a new threat, the Vanduul, after one report showed that the potential for pilot fatality increased disproportionately with the length of an engagement against a Vanduul ship. The Hurricane design was resurrected by Anvil Aerospace in an attempt to reduce the time to kill and save pilot lives. The end result is a ship that hits about twice as hard as a Super Hornet but remains best suited to limited engagements with nearby support. The guns are huge, the ship is small, the armor is crap, the speed is pretty good, and the maneuverability is so-so. With a large supply of boost fuel, the Hurricane can maneuver quite well for short periods, but when that fuel runs out, pilots may find themselves stranded amid a sea of enemies with little armor and no way to run. So, the most successful strategies are likely to revolve around a dual crew setup, where the pilot concentrates on maneuvering to and from the objective, clearing the way with the Hurricane's massive nose guns, while the gunner uses the oversized manned turret to discourage pursuit and complete objectives, like strafing the unprotected flank of a much larger ship or ground installation. The turret can be slaved to the pilot controls, or locked into the forward position by means of an aftermarket add-on. So there's plenty of potential for solo flight, but it's clear that the designers of this ship never intended it to be a solo dogfighter. Engagement time is also limited by a clear preference for a ballistic loadout. An ammo limit means that every fight has a countdown timer, and the ship must be resupplied regularly. While you can equip the ship with energy weapons, the ship's components, like power plants and coolers, are from another age entirely, where ships were not designed to keep up with the energy requirements of shields, engines, and modern energy weapons. So, pilots preferring to unleash an unlimited supply of blazing death from 4 Panther repeaters should look elsewhere. Try that in the Hurricane, and you might find that your shields flicker and dim when you shoot, which is not something you want to see when your armor was applied with a roller. The upside of all this is that the ballistic loadout penetrates energy shielding better than energy weapons, so you'll start doing damage with the first shot. And as we all know, in order to increase speed, you must add lightness, so the lack of armor means that the older engine design should make this ship look like a ballerina when compared with tanks like the Super Hornet and Gladiator, at least as long as the boost holds out. The slim profile also means a narrower cross-section that is more difficult to hit. Is the mantra you should repeat every time you strap in for combat and every 5 seconds or so during any fight. It's worth noting that the Hurricane is only flimsy when compared with modern spacefaring tanks like the Hornet or heavily shielded ships like the Sabre. It should take hits as well as some civilian ships like the Mustang or 300 series, and those don't blow apart at the first sign of trouble. Sometimes they hold together for 3 or 4 whole seconds of sustained fire, which should give you and your gunner just enough time to eject, if you're quick about it. With plenty of speed in a straight line, huge guns on the nose for disabling engines on freighters, and a monstrous turret to discourage interference, I think the Hurricane will make a fantastic pirate ship. And that's all I have on the Anvil Hurricane for today. Typically, with fighters, I like to compare them to an animal for ease of reference. The Hurricane is a ship that shows up where you least want it, packs an incredibly powerful punch for its size, has 2 giant weapons mounted on its nose, and is easily squashed the instant you catch it. So I'm going to call this one a Sydney Funnel Web Spider. If you're looking for more videos like this on other ships in Star Citizen, you'll find a link to my other fighter videos as well as my full Without the Numbers playlist in the description of this video. For now, thanks very much to everybody who watched or commented on this video. I really do appreciate it. Oh, and don't think I haven't noticed you folks that put me on the Facebooks and the Twitters and the Reddits and all that other social media stuff. You guys are really doing me a solid. I hate managing that crap, but I love the traffic it brings in. So, seriously, thanks, and I will see you next time.